it can be very frustrating because you think you have a really good message and you get it out there and you're hearing crickets back. You're just not getting much back. So, um, what's one of the top challenges you've seen with people to try to not be the best kept secret?
Well, so many people come to me and they feel like they're spinning their wheels, much like you mentioned, Janelle. I'm creating great content, but nobody seems to notice. And that's the first big challenge is that when you listen to all the gurus and the experts out there, they're telling you to create more content and create more be everywhere, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Repurpose your content, be everywhere. And when I talk to coaches like you, Janelle, they say, I don't have time to be everywhere. I
Mm-mm.
don't have time. And being everywhere and creating more content is actually what's keeping you stuck. It's actually what's keeping you invisible. It's not creating more content, it's creating more and better context.
Well, welcome everybody to the Speakeasy Cafe. Janelle Anderson here. I am the virtual events visionary. I help coaches to get um, to get their business to a thriving place by hosting their own virtual events. And I especially teach what I call the client enrollment workshop, which is a specific type of workshop you can run every month and create a consistent flow of clients and cash and leads and get yourself visible by doing that every single month. It's not a different workshop every month, it's a signature workshop. So I teach how to put that together so that it converts well and it becomes an asset for your business. And then from there, how to grow your business, all the things that you need to really be successful as a coach. And I especially like to work with newer or early stage coaches in the first few years of business because statistics tell us that 80% of coaches don't make it past year three. And it's largely because they don't know how to do all the business side of things and get their systems in order and have an actual system in place that instead of just selling coaching sessions, they have a program and they have a way to sell it and they have a way to grow their email list and all the things, right? So when you have that, you don't have to work so hard. And most coaches are working really hard. So that's what I do. And this Speakeasy Cafe, we talk a lot about running events. We talk a lot about getting yourself visible, getting your message out there. And so today we have a guest, and his name is Eric K. Johnson. And I'm going to bring him up right now. Hey, Eric, welcome to the Speakeasy Cafe.
Thanks for having me, Janelle. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's so great to have you. Eric and I have been partners, JV, joint venture partners for quite a while now. And he is known as the podcast talent coach. And he helps people launch podcasts and really not just that, but how to make money from your podcast, how to help build your business through your podcast. And talk about getting your message out there. That's such a great way to do it. So I wanted to bring Eric on to talk about getting seen and getting heard, and I'm going to let him share that with you. He has a really great line that he says. So Eric, just share with us what you do and what you're all about.
Yes, thanks, Janelle. With Podcast Talent Coach, I help coaches become someone worth listening to.
Hmm.
So I help coaches really step into their own persona and personality, their own personal brand, and separate themselves from everybody else in their niche. How do you become someone that stands above everybody else so you become a category of one rather than trying to be a different shade of gray amongst everybody else doing the same thing that you're doing?
Yeah, and that's the trick, isn't it? That's the thing, because there are so many, not just coaches, but online experts out there today trying to share their message and trying to share expertise to help people. And it can feel like a very noisy place, and you're in the middle of this crowd. And how are people going to find me? That's one of the top questions coaches ask me is how do I find clients and how do I stand out from the crowd so that they find me? And so it's, I have found in my own business that it can be very frustrating because you think you have a really good message and you get it out there and you're hearing crickets back. You're just not getting much back. So, um, what's one of the top challenges you've seen with people to try to not be the best kept secret?
Well, so many people come to me and they feel like they're spinning their wheels, much like you mentioned, Janelle. I'm creating great content, but nobody seems to notice. And that's the first big challenge is that when you listen to all the gurus and the experts out there, they're telling you to create more content and create more be everywhere, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Repurpose your content, be everywhere. And when I talk to coaches like you, Janelle, they say, I don't have time to be everywhere. I
Mm-mm.
don't have time. And being everywhere and creating more content is actually what's keeping you stuck. It's actually what's keeping you invisible. It's not creating more content, it's creating more and better context. It's wrapping
Mm.
your content in context. Anybody can copy your content. Like if you have your 6 steps to success, AI can go create your 6 steps to success, right? And you're easily duplicated when you lean on information and content. But when you lean on stories and personality and who you truly are, that's when you become unique. And that's when you stop chasing all the extra content and you just wrap context around your content, your story, your opinion, your personality. And that's when people start to love you. And that can't be copied. AI can't copy your opinion and your personality. That's when you start separating yourself from everybody else. So stop trying to create more content and take your content and wrap it in more context. Wrap it
Love
in
that.
different stories.
I love that. And stories, yeah, stories are so important. People love stories and
Yeah,
telling your own
you and I
story.
connect way back on
Yeah.
storytelling. Like
Yeah.
storytelling is what's going to separate you from everybody else. Learn how to tell a great story and catalog your stories. As you're going through the day and you run into a client you're working with, or you run into an expert, you have a conversation with a JV partner, and you get an aha moment, jot that story down. You'll never know when that's going to come into play later down the road so you can wrap your content in better context.
Yes. And people will lean in. They'll listen to stories. They understand your content better because they can see it in the story. They can see themselves in the story. It makes it come alive, just like, that's why we like to watch movies and videos, read books. We love stories.
Yeah.
And so that's a must-have skill as far as I'm concerned with,
People remember you because of your story.
yeah, for sure. And it's just like,
They're not going to remember your 6 steps to success.
no,
They'll remember your story.
no. And they won't remember your bullet points on your slides.
Yes.
They will
Yes,
remember your
exactly.
story.
Yes.
Yeah. And they'll be like, oh, now I get it. Or, oh, yeah, that's me. And it touches people on an emotional level. I think that's one thing in the messaging that we need to remember is the emotional aspect of our messaging and everything we put out there is to touch people on that level, not just in the mind, not just information, but actual transformation.
Yeah, and that really kind of leads into the second challenge that a lot of people have is that they're creating content, but it's not doing anything to drive clients. It's not bringing any clients into their business. I'm creating all this content, but my business isn't going anywhere. I can't figure out why. And it's because you're relying too much on the how and not enough on the why. You're not stirring emotion within your prospects. And when you stir emotion, you get them emotionally charged to solve their challenge. That's when they come to you and that's when they want to work with you. You spend too much time trying to tell them how to do things rather than telling them why they need to do it. And when
Yes.
you lead with story, you stir emotion and you lean into that why, and people come into your world. When you're
Mhm.
just giving them step A, step B, step C, you're not stirring any fire inside of them and you're not bringing any clients into your world.
Yeah, that's the truth. And this is a skill, it's just like we learn how to be a good coach. We learn coaching skills, asking empowering questions and listening deeply and all the things, holding space, all the things that coaches do. And the skill of messaging on the side, because I know when coaches get trained, they get the trained in the coaching skill, but they don't get much training on I'm sorry, business building. And so a big part of that is is that's a big gap. That's a big hole, right? And so we have messaging, we have storytelling, we have, speaking. All these are skills that we need in order to be someone that people want to listen to and get ourselves visible out there so that our clients can actually find us. And it's not so
Yes.
much like talking to everyone, it's talking to that client. Like our message needs to be directed to that, our audience. That's what we need. We need to get in front of the right people, not just everybody in the world.
Exactly. And that's the third challenge is I don't have a big enough audience, right? I don't have a big enough audience and I need to grow my audience. You don't need to grow your audience. You need to find the right people. Authority isn't built by creating more content and building a bigger audience. It's built by intentionally placing your voice in front of the right people at the right time with the right message and
Yeah.
doing it repeatedly.
Yeah.
So you're
Wow.
at the right place at the right time in front of the right audience with the right message and you repeat it. Doesn't need to be a big audience, it needs to be the right audience. Stir some emotion in that audience and get them fired up to work with you.
Yeah. Yeah. That I love that. Right people, right message, right time, repeatedly.
Because here's the deal. The ultimate challenge is I'm not closing enough deals. I'm not making enough sales. I don't have enough clients. When they come to me, I struggle with the sales conversation. When you create your content right and you're infusing it with your personality and your story, you're pre-selling your clients so that when they come to your sales conversation, they're already predisposed to working with you because they already know who you are. They already know your opinion. They know what you value and what you believe in. They love what you're about. And now they're coming to see what kind of help you can provide them. So when you do it right, they're already predisposed to working with you. You've already built the trust. You've already built that relationship in front of the right people so that when they come to your webinar or when they come to your strategy call, they're already leaning into working with you. There's four steps to the sales process. First is building rapport. Second is qualifying your prospect, making sure they're right for you and you're right for them. Third is educating them on your solution. And the fourth is closing the sale. And not all four steps are equal. Building rapport, getting to know each other, that's 40% of the sales process. Qualifying your prospect, I need to make sure you're right for me and I'm right for you. That's 30% of the process. Let me show you the solution that I have to solve your problem. That's only 20%. And then closing the deal is the final 10. Far too many people rush to the let me show you how I can help you part of the sales process. Well, when you're crafting content in the right way and building your authority in your niche in the way that I teach by sharing your story, stirring emotion, and infusing your personality and your persona into it, you're building rapport with your content. You're qualifying your prospect because they understand how you operate, what you value, what you believe in. They see how you help other people get where they go and they say, "Man, Janelle has done so much to help other people build their events that sell. She could probably help me build my event because that's exactly what I need." So by the time they come to Janelle's webinar or workshop or sales call or strategy call, they've already they've already pre-qualified themselves. So by the time the sales call happens, you're 70% down the road through the sales process because you've already built the rapport through your content and they've already pre-qualified themselves. Now it's tell me about what you do and how you can help me. You can
Right.
then move to the let me show you how my solution helps you. Let me educate you on my solution. So when you build your content in the right way and stop teaching the how and start teaching the why, and not only why to do it, but why do it with me, they're further down the road.
Yep.
So you're pre-selling before the sales conversation ever happens, and that makes sales so much easier. When you do it the right way, your sales call is here's what I do. Here's my entire sales call. Tell me what your goals are. Tell me where you are today. What's preventing you from getting the goals? All right, based on what you told me, here's what I think you need to do. Would you like some help with that? Yeah, let me show you what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the sales call.
Yep. That is definitely the way to do it. I agree with you. And I used to do this too, just rush right into, let me show you how I can help you before I ever found out what they really needed or what they really wanted or whether or not they were somebody I could actually help. And that is the key. And also, you were saying, like, I always say it's like seeding the offer all the way through the conversation with
Yeah,
little phrases like, oh, with my clients, this is one thing I do to help them with that. In my program, like just mentioning it as you're, especially that works really well in a workshop as you're sharing, you know,
yeah.
um,
And when I help clients, that's what we do is how do we infuse those high ticket offers into your content naturally
yeah.
so that your content, whether it's a podcast like I teach or I help people who with the YouTube channels and stuff, it's how do we take your platform and make it a credibility engine and make it a pre-selling system so that we're infusing those offers in there subtly about here's client X that I helped, or here's what we did in my workshop. Last week in my mastermind, here are the breakthroughs that we achieved. And then people in their mind, they're going, man, I want some of that because
Yeah.
they're pre-qualifying themselves. Like that's exactly what I need. So then all of a sudden your podcast starts positioning you as an authority in your niche. It starts warming your prospects before you even get on the call with them. And it qualifies the buyer without any pressure on their part. We all feel pressure in a sales call because we feel like we're going to be sold to. And when you do it this way, and when you craft your content in a way that gets them excited, once they're
Mhm.
on the sales call, they're already qualified. They're already leaning in to do business with you.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes it an easy yes. They've already overcome, you've already overcome objections, as they call them, or
Yes.
concerns
Yeah,
with everything you've shared. And there's a lot of psychology behind this. So
absolutely.
Yo says yes. So we were talking earlier. I love the thing about getting in front of the right people at the right time with the right message and
Oh,
doing it
yeah.
repeatedly. What are some ways people can do that? How do
You
they find the right people at the right time? And how do they know they have a right message?
you need to find people who are already speaking to your ideal client, who already has the attention and the trust of the people you're trying to attract. Because when you can hook your wagon to that train, that's borrowed trust.
Mm,
Like if you already trust Janelle and Janelle brings me into her world and introduces me to her crowd, it's borrowed trust. Janelle is endorsing me in what I do. She's coming and saying, I've known Eric for years. I love what he does. I thought you could find value from that. And so now your guard is down because there's already some built trust there. If I was some shyster, Janelle wouldn't have me on her platform. So find people who are already speaking to your ideal client. And people think that's going to be so hard. Like, oh, where do I find these people? It's people, the mistake that most coaches make is they think authority builds linearly, meaning we go from one to two to three to four to five. Authority doesn't build linearly, it builds exponentially, it builds in chunks. One leads to two, two leads to four, four leads to eight, eight
mm,
leads to 16, 16 leads to 32. So it goes up instead of at a straight line. One interview can lead to two more because at the end of the interview, I say, Janelle, this has been fantastic. Who else should I be talking to that is talking to this crowd? And Janelle would say, oh, do you know Amana Guy? Do you know Mark Porteous? Do you know? And she starts rattling off people. And I say, oh, fantastic. Can you introduce me to those people? So, so Janelle introduces me to two more. And then I do the same thing with those two. And those two introduced me to two more each. So now I'm up to four, and those four introduced me to two more. So now I'm up to eight. And so each partner introduces you to two more partners, and you start growing exponentially. And one appearance creates two more and creates four more. And the momentum starts to build, and the flywheel starts to build. You don't need to go out and find a dozen partners today. You need to find one or two and let those one or two double and let those four double and let those eight double. And next thing you know, you're talking to the right people.
yeah.
Because when you Find one right partner, they'll open the doors to many other right partners for you.
So true and so well put. Partners is it's how I've grown my business for sure. Partners like you and others that, you find a good partner that has the audience that you want to get in front of. They help them maybe in a different way. It's a perfect partnership because your audience can benefit from them. Like you can benefit from Eric and his audience can benefit from what I do. And so it makes a really great partnership for each other.
I had a former client. Her name is Zoe Routh. She's from New Zealand. Zoe is an expert on people stuff. She has a podcast where she interviews leaders. Zoe's entire business is going into corporations and helping them break down the silos so that departments work better together. But
Nice.
Zoe was having a challenge getting the decision maker on the phone. When she would call the CEO to have a sales conversation, the gatekeeper would block it. Sorry, not available right now. And she could never get a sales call happening. So Zoe launched her podcast called The Future of Leadership. And the entire purpose of Zoe's podcast is to interview potential clients. So now, rather than calling the CEO for a sales call, she calls them to invite them on her show.
Wow.
And the CEO takes the call because who doesn't like to be featured on a podcast? And so she'll have a call inviting them on the show, and she'll say, fantastic. I'll call you with all the details and we'll set up a time. So she has a second call where they do kind of a pre-call. Here's what the interview looks like. Here's when it will be. Here's how we structure it. Here's all the details. She'll have a third call where they record the episode. She'll have a fourth call with them saying, hey, the episode's live. Here's where you can find it. Here's how you can share it with your audience or your tribe. So now she's had 4 calls with this CEO and really started to build a relationship with them. And so now when she's ready to talk business, they take her call because they're friends. They've built rapport already. The
Mm.
platform and the stage is only used to open doors to other people. And that's
No,
what
that's
building
brilliant.
relationships are all about.
What a brilliant strategy. And I love the idea of a podcast and also, I teach people how to run their own workshops, creating your own stage. It's important to get on other people's stages and build those partnerships and get in front of their people. But then you need to have your own platform that you bring people into as well. So share just a little bit. We have a few more minutes about podcasting and how that can help with just what you described with that story, how that helps coaches.
Yeah. So your podcast gives you a platform that you can share with others. And so there are multiple ways to generate revenue with your podcast. You can turn your audience into clients, but like we talked about earlier, talk about the why, get them excited about doing business with you, get them to a strategy call with you or a application call where you can turn your audience into clients. You can turn you can upsell your current clients with your podcast. You can bring them on and interview them about the challenges they're having and give them more feedback on how they can take what they're doing to the next level. And maybe they move from being in your membership to moving to your high-end one-on-one coaching program. So you can use the platform to highlight your clients and upsell them into that next level. You can use your podcast as a platform to highlight your joint venture partners and your peers. So you're giving them exposure. You can be on their stage, they can be on your stage. You can expose them to your audience. They can in turn expose you to their audience because it's all about real authority is about being seen in the right places. And when you have a podcast that you can exchange, you can be in front of their audience, they can be in front of your audience. It gives you a platform to highlight people. So you can use your podcast to partner with peers, and then you can use your podcast to connect with mentors. If you call your mentor and ask them if you can pick their brain or get a cup of coffee, they probably aren't going to have time in the day to do that. But if you call your mentor and say, hey, can I feature you on my podcast? All of a sudden, you're having an hour-long conversation with your mentor because it's a podcast interview, and you're getting that pick your brain or that cup of coffee with your mentor, and they don't even realize it. Jamie Masters launched a podcast called The Eventual Millionaire. She wanted to be a millionaire. She was a new, just starting out in the digital space, just starting out coaching. And so she launched a podcast called The Eventual Millionaire. And all she did was interview millionaires on her show on how they became a millionaire. And
Wow.
And she ended up having every week she would have a conversation with a millionaire, and next thing you know, she's got this thriving business teaching people how to become millionaires because she
That's
went out and studied it by interviewing all these millionaires and turned it into a process. So
well,
your audience, your current clients, your peers, and your mentors can all turn
mm.
into great resources for you when you have a platform like a podcast to put them on.
It's the credibility and authority it builds for you. Is incredible, and these people that you interview can become promotional partners for you as well, and they have stages. I mean, it's just like you said earlier, it's exponential how all that can spread, and you just never run out. You'll never run out of hosts I mean, guests to have on your podcast.
Yeah, everybody's looking for the stage. And that's
Yeah.
what makes the selling part easy because people hear your voice. They start to resonate with your message, right? They're spending time with you each week. And then they start seeing you repeatedly in these other trusted spaces with these other mentors that they already trust and you gain from that borrowed trust. And so people don't show up saying, "Should I hire you?"
Hmm.
They show up asking, "How do I work with you?"
Yeah.
Because you've already done all of the pre-selling in your content, and that's pre-selling, that's influence, that's leveraging your voice, that's getting you where you need to be when you do it the right way and when you do it intentionally, on purpose, in the right way, systematically.
Fantastic. And I know those of you sitting here in the Zoom room with us and those of you watching this recording later, I bet you most of you would love to have people ask you, how can I work with you? Right?
Yes.
Because sometimes I feel like we feel like we're chasing clients, chasing after clients instead of them chasing after us. And we
I
want
just
them.
landed a $18,000 client doing this exact thing.
That's
He
awesome.
came to me on a strategy call. I said, "How did you find me?" He said, "I found you because I listened to your podcast. I need help with mine because I feel like I've flatlined. We're not growing. I'm not getting any clients." And I walked him through this process. How do we build your persona? How do we develop your origin story? How do we develop your brand personality? Now, how do we infuse it into the content? People are telling him, I don't know what you've done with the podcast, but man, it sounds so great. It's so much better than it has, and it's so different than all of the other shows I listen to. But when I was talking with him, I did that exact process. I said, "Here's the deal. Here's what are your goals? Where are you today? What are the challenges you're trying to get through? Based on what you told me, here's what it looks like you need to do." And he
Hmm.
said, "Fantastic. How can you help me do that?"
Yeah.
Like
See, there you go.
I didn't even have to ask him I didn't make a sales pitch. I didn't make an offer. He said, how can you help me? And I said, "Well, here's what my coaching program looks like." He said, "Great, let's do it."
Wow. See, how many of you would love to see that happen in your business? And maybe some of you are, but yeah, Janet's waving at me like, yeah.
Yeah. He was
Awesome.
pre-sold before he showed up.
Yeah. That's what we want. That's what makes the difference. So I'm going to drop this link in the chat for you all that are here present in the Zoom. We'll have it in our show notes as well in YouTube underneath this recording. But Eric has a freebie for you. You want to share what that's about, Eric?
Yeah. If you go to podcasttalentcoach.com/authority, you can get a 4 video series that I shot. And 4 videos, I know it sounds like a ton. I send you one a day and they're 5 minutes long. Like this is not rocket science. It's complete simplicity and it walks you through it step by step and it shows you how to go from being the best kept secret to being the sought after authority in your niche.
Nice.
Not by creating more content, but by leaning into who you are, leaning into your authenticity and your personality, how you put yourself in the right place at the right time in front of the right audience with the right message.
Yeah.
And it's not spending more time creating content. I want you to create less content, but more context. And this 4 video series will walk you through it. It's 1 video a day for 4 days. They're all about 5 minutes long, and you can get it at podcasttalentcoach.com/authority. Get it right there, and I'd love to help you out. Oh,
Yeah,
and
you get
it's free. The 4 videos are free. You just tell me where to send them, and I'll email them to you.
awesome. Well, people are loving this. Grab that for sure. It's like super consumable and digestible because it's short little videos, but carries a power. It's a power packed uh, set of videos, right?
Yes, very,
They
very
carry a punch.
powerful. It's I like economy of words and I like brevity. Like
Mhm.
I don't do a whole big song and dance and waste a bunch of your time at the beginning. We hit the ground running, 5 minutes straight, you get what you need and go put it to use.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. All right. Any questions from those of you that are sitting here now in the room? You have an opportunity here to ask a question, ask Eric a question. You can just unmute and ask away if you have anything that you would like to ask. Anybody? No, no, no. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Eric, so much for coming. This has been fabulous. I always love listening to you. It always inspires me. And I'm thinking, oh, I know what I could do with my podcast. And um, interviewing those millionaires like that, like sparked an idea in me. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to go look
Janelle,
for like
I
seven
always
or eight
love
figure.
I always love spending time with you. So
Thanks.
and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share your stage for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And just because I don't know, this idea just popped in my head. You had said earlier about you get on somebody's stage and they get on yours. This is what we're doing right here. I'm having Eric come on my stage and I'll be on his stage in a little while here, February, I
Yeah.
think, right?
Yeah.
So that's how it works. And I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. A lot of love in the chat for you, Eric. They loved the information and the tips.
Yeah. The
So
chat's been great.
yeah, so take this away and do something with it. Please don't just listen and go away, but take some of these tips and start applying them. Get Eric's freebie, and that's how things happen. You take action, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of action.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming today, Eric. We loved it. And thank you, everybody that came to the show today. And we will see everybody next Monday.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye bye.